Okay, I'll admit it. After searching for several videos with my wife to find a new Christmas classic because we were sick of watching A Christmas Story and It's a Wonderful Life all the time, I'll admit it, It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite Christmas movie of all time and nothing will ever surpass it. But who gives a shit about me? I'm making this video to figure out why this movie is everywhere, every Christmas, 80 years after it was released. Why it's consistently at the top of Christmas movie lists and just plain movie lists. Not plain movie lists, the top of that would be Snakes on a Plane. Why is this seemingly forever the Christmas movie? Well, I made a list, checked it twice, of possible reasons. Let's run down that list. 1. Is it because of copyright error? I think it's pretty well known that this movie was kind of a failure when it first came out in 1946. It did have a very large budget. They built the entire town of Bedford Falls. On the Wikipedia it said the budget was $3.18 million and it made $3.3 million at the box office. Well, that's a profit, but there are other costs associated with making a movie. Apparently the film's break-even point was $6.3 million. Critics' reactions were mixed. Time magazine loved it. It's a Wonderful Life. It's a pretty wonderful movie. Director Capra's inventiveness, humor, and affection for human beings keep it glowing with life and excitement. But lots found it overly sentimental, like Bosley Crowther at the New York Times, who said, "The weakness of this picture is the sentimentality of it. It's a illusory concept of life. You shouldn't judge a person by how they look, but doesn't he look like the kind of person who would write that review? Also, he looks like a Bosley. You know what I mean? It did get 5 Oscar nominations, which is pretty great. You don't have 5 Oscar nominations, and neither do I. Yet! There's still time, Academy. My movie came out this year. No Packers, No Life. A documentary about Japanese Green Bay Packer fans. It's on Tubi for free. But it seems this movie was going to fade into obscurity. Until the rights were passed around to various companies. Until the National Telefilm Associates made a clerical error preventing the copyright from being renewed properly in 1974. This made it cheaper for TV stations to air it all the time, which is why growing up I caught bits and pieces of it on TV every holiday season. But that's not enough to make it a Christmas classic, right? Like Santa Claus Conquers the Martians is in the public domain, and my mom's not going to get all weepy in her eggnog over that movie. Okay, so maybe that's part of the story, but what makes it a real classic? 2, is it because it's old? Why was this movie lukewarmly received in 1946, and then hotly received later in the 70s and onward? Well, I'm not so sure why it wasn't well received at the time. I get mixed answers when I look it up. It could be because it was post-war and people wanted more grounded, realistic stories like The Best Years of Our Lives, which is also a great movie, or film noirs like Notorious or The Killers. Not that The Killers, that The Killers. But then again, I see people say that it was too dark for post-war people. A lot of it is kind of a downer, and it deals with suicide. But I think a big reason is because it didn't have a wide release before Christmas in 1946. It wasn't released widely until 1947 in January. Nobody watches movies in January, especially if you're practicing no Jimmy Januaries, where you don't watch Jimmy Stewart movies. I made that up. Then we travel way forward into the 70s and beyond, and the movie has a good old days feel. You know what I mean? We're far removed from it, so I think we naturally excuse the main criticism that it's too sentimental. That may even add thematic value because the main character is living in the good old days, whether or not they existed, and he needs to learn that he's living in the good old days, whether or not they existed. And the movie can easily be propped up as an old folk tale, not connected to our culture and politics. So it feels more like a old parable to live by. You know what I mean? In other words, it doesn't feel like anyone's preaching to us because the people who made it are dead. All right? But to be clear, yes, this movie's sentimental, but I don't think it's overly sentimental. I think it's great, and I probably would have thought it was great at the time. Well, then why is it the Christmas classic? 3. Is it because of the guardian angel thing? It's a Wonderful Life has been an ever-present part of my brain since I was a kid, because of the guardian angel thing. Even before I watched the whole thing, I just knew about the whole idea that a guardian angel comes down and shows a man what his life would have been like if he was never born. And that always made me think about my life and what it would be like if I was never born. I mean, I was probably 7, so it probably wouldn't have been that different, but don't tell a 7-year-old that. And it also sounded cool and sci-fi, like a Twilight Zone episode, or an X-Files episode, depending on how old you are, or a Black Mirror episode, depending on how old you are. But as I've gotten older and actually watched the whole thing from beginning to end, as opposed to just seeing it in bits and pieces on TV as a kid, because I wouldn't watch the whole thing because it's old and black and white and long and there's no lightsabers in it. Ugh. I learned that the whole guardian angel thing is actually a very small part of the movie and not 100% what it's about. The movie's actually more like a biopic of a fictional person, George Bailey, like Forrest Gump or Citizen Kane, or the most important film of our time, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. Just kidding, Dewey Cox is real. So I think the guardian angel thing is a catchy hook, but for the movie to be loved so much for so long, it's gotta be more than that. So what is the more than that? Warning, spoilers coming. Definitely spoiler time now. as I was saying, what is the more than that? Is it because it merely uses the guardian angel as a framing device to realistically portray the life of a good man constantly denied his dreams, but ultimately realizing that he lived a wonderful life? Yes. Yeah, that's probably it. In other words, deep universal themes that feel grounded in real life and are really effective. This moment right here where George makes his daughter cry and disturbs his whole family, oof, gets me right here. And this moment right here, the ending that many of you probably have seen without seeing the whole movie, oh, when you watch the whole movie, it hits. It didn't used to when I just caught that bit on TV. I was young, dumb, and full of Nintendo. But watching from the beginning, it works every time. But it does take patience to get to the payoff. You're following George his entire life. That's a whole lot of not guardian angel to get through until you get to the guardian angel stuff. And here's a unique thing about it. George Bailey is not a Scrooge or a Grinch character. He doesn't have to learn how to be a good person because he is innately a good person, always trying to do the right thing. And throughout the movie, up until the guardian angel stuff, he's punished for it. No good George deed goes unpunished. There's also funny and happy stuff and a love story in the middle of all that, but basically, we are watching a frustrated hero throughout the movie. And the best way I can explain it to you is to go through like every important bit of the whole movie. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, are we ready for that? Ready? Let's go. To be fair, the whole movie does start with angel stuff. The whole town is praying for George.
Give him a break, God.
Watch over him tonight.
Something's the matter with Daddy. Please bring Daddy back.
Then Joseph, who we all know is the prayer secretary and a galaxy, apparently, hears these prayers and alerts God, who's also a galaxy.
Hello, Joseph. A lot of people asking for help for a man named George Bailey.
It would be cool if we all talked by lightening and darkening our bodies. Anyway, they call in Angel Clarence, who is an extremely fast-moving star. Someone should alert NASA.
You sent for me, sir?
Yes, Clarence.
But also an angel who still doesn't have his wings. They tell him that George is thinking about ending his life, and he has to stop him. And if he does, he'll get his wings. Yay! I don't know why he'd need wings if he's a fast-moving star, but...
Sit down.
What? I am sitting.
If you're going to help a man,
Yeah?
you want to know something about him, don't you?
What?
Keep your eyes open.
Okay. Joseph is grumpy. Yeah, we're gonna go through George's life. Let's do it.
Hey, who's that?
That's your problem, George Bailey.
So George's brother Harry falls into the freezing water.
George saved his brother's life that day, but he caught a bad cold, which infected his left ear, cost him his hearing in that ear.
The first example of a bad thing happening to George after he did a good thing. Then we see George as someone with big dreams.
Wish I had $1 million. Hot dog!
Then we're introduced to Violet and Mary, and apparently George is a very likable guy.
I like him. You like every boy. What's wrong with that?
Okay, maybe that's not saying much. Then Mary whispers in the ear that he can't hear out of.
George Bailey, I'll love you till the day I die.
Oh, my heart. Even though he probably should have been able to hear it out of his other ear. So we learn more about George's dreams.
I'm going out exploring someday. You watch. And I'm going to have a couple of harems. And maybe 3 or 4 wives. Wait and see.
Wait, you're gonna have wives and a harem? Isn't multiple wives technically a harem? Like what? Or is it like wives and then separate harems? Jeez. Then he discovers his boss, Mr. Gower's son, died of influenza. And Mr. Gower is very drunk and he accidentally puts poison in another kid's prescription. And he demands that George deliver it. George doesn't deliver it. And he suffers more consequences after doing something good.
You bang it away.
Then we flash way forward.
I want a big one.
What'd you stop it for? Who is it?
George Bailey.
He's buying luggage because he's got big plans. So he needs big luggage.
With plenty of room here for labels from Italy and Baghdad, Samarkand.
But then he gets a gift.
Yeah, I don't suppose you like this old second-hand job, would you?
Unfortunate wording, but
What's my name doing on it?
Little present from old man Gower.
the pharmacy guy bought it for him, so he goes to thank him.
I wish I had $1 million. Hot dog!
He reveals his plans to his dad about going to college, and his brother Harry, who he saved in the water earlier, will take over his job at their dad's building and loan company. But his dad's like, come back to the building and loan, city boy.
You wouldn't consider coming back to the building and loan, would you?
I couldn't face being cooped up for the rest of my life in a shabby little office.
Oh!
No, I'm sorry, Pop. I didn't mean that.
And then his pop explains the importance of the building and loan.
It's deep in the race for a man to want his own roof and walls and fireplace, and we're helping him get those things in our shabby little office.
I just feel like if I didn't get away, I'd bust.
I think he might bust later. But then he goes to the dance and he sees this lady again, the adult version of this lady. And then he sees this lady again, the adult version of this lady.
Love you till the day I die.
And then it's love at second sight. So he rather rudely steals her from this guy.
Hey, this is my dad.
Oh, why don't you stop annoying people?
Who's the adult version of this guy? Alfalfa from Little Rascals. Anyway, Alfalfa gets mad and pushes a button that opens the floor. They fall into the pool. It's a good time. This was filmed at the Beverly Hills High School, where that gymnasium still works the same way. Anywho, there's this lovely little love scene where they throw rocks at this old building and make wishes.
Oh, no, George, don't. It's full of romance, that old place. I'd like to live in it.
In that place? I wouldn't live in as a ghost. Now what?
And then she asks what he wished for, and George goes full George again.
Mary, I know what I'm going to do tomorrow and the next day and next year and a year after that. I'm shaking the dust of this crummy little town off my feet, and I'm going to see the world. Then I'm coming back here and go to college and see what they know, and then I'm going to build things.
Something maybe I couldn't fully appreciate watching this movie at a young age, but to have such specific plans about what you're going to do without thinking through what you're going to sacrifice to do that. And he doesn't realize it, but his dreams are not that unlike Mr. Potter's dreams, not really including actual loved ones and other people in these dreams. I guess dreams are like that when you're young. It's kind of the core theme of the movie. Anywho, moving on. And then it seems like we're on our way to seeing some nudity, but these dudes show up and tell George that his dad had a stroke. And then we cut to a boardroom 3 months later and learn through dialogue that, sadly, George's dad died. That's something that's underappreciated about this movie, I think, is that a lot of things happen off screen and you just learn about it very efficiently through subtle exposition. It's nice. And then Mr. Potter says they should shut down the building and loan because it's not good business. He and George get into a tit-for-tat about the value of home loans.
Well, is it too much to have them work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath? Anyway, my father didn't think so. People were human beings to him, but to you, a warped, frustrated old man, they're cattle.
Watching this, I've never cared so much about home loans in my life. Well done, George. Maybe a little too well done.
George, they voted Potter down. They want to keep it going.
Hooray! This is only good news with nothing bad attached.
Only one condition.
What's that?
They've appointed George here as executive secretary to take his father's place.
Maybe there's a way out?
I'm leaving. I'm leaving right now. I'm going to school. This is my last chance. Uncle Billy here. He's your man.
But George, they'll vote with Potter otherwise.
Oh boy. So George takes over the building and loan because he's such a damn hero, and his brother gallivants off to college. Well, 4 years later, his brother's returning by himself, and all will be swell. So by himself.
Oh, wait a minute. I want you to meet Ruth.
Who the is Ruth?
Ruth Dakin Bailey, if you don't mind.
Meet the wife.
What, wife? Oh, I'm sorry. I overreacted. Okay. Yeah, everything's fine. Wife. This is fine, right?
The father offered him a job.
Now, his brother did say he didn't accept the job. He knows that George wants out, but George is gonna do the right thing for other people, and then he's gonna be trapped in Bedford Falls his whole life. Then later he heads over to Mary's, and Mary tries to continue their wonderful conversation. She puts on Buffalo Gals Won't You Come Out Tonight. There's a picture of him lassoing the moon like he said he was gonna do. Oh yeah, he said he was gonna lasso the moon earlier.
Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down. Hey, that's a pretty good idea.
But he's just being a turd, so she tries another method, jealousy. She goes and talks to another dude who's interested in her on the phone, and it works. George gets jealous. He comes over to the phone. They talk real close to the phone. The guy they're talking to is talking about investing in soybeans and plastic or something, but they're not listening. They're ready to jump each other's bones. Ooh, the chemistry, hot! And finally, George realizes his love and professes it beautifully.
Now, you listen to me. I don't want to get married ever to anyone. You understand that? I want to do what I want to do. And you're...
George.
Okay, not the best proposal, but it'll do. And then they have a wonderful honeymoon!
Don't look now, but there's something funny going on over there at the bank, George.
Yeah, there's a run on the bank. And then what follows is the most dramatic and compelling scene about home loans and banking in cinema history. And I definitely didn't understand it when I watched it as a kid. Editor's note real quick. Does he say God damn it when the bird gets in his way?
God damn it.
I think he does. That wasn't allowed back then, according to the Hays Code. In a movie where God is helping him, no less.
God damn it.
Am I the first to discover this? Feel free to cite me on the Wikipedia page. Anyway, this is kind of hard to understand. I had to read up to make sure I understood it correctly, because they don't tell you that the reason this is happening is because it's the Depression. You learn that later in the movie.
Take during the Depression, for instance. You and I were the only ones that kept our heads. You saved the building and loan, I saved all the rest.
Yes, well, most people say you stole all the rest.
So here's the thing. There's the building and loan, which gets a loan from the bank to operate. And the bank's like, We're calling the loan. That means they demand them to pay it all back.
God, all I know is the bank called our loan.
When?
About an hour ago, I handed over all our cash. All of it. Every cent of it, and still was less than we owed them.
So they have to pay it all back, and they have no cash. And then all the people want to take their money out of the building and loan, and they have no cash to give them. In comes Mr. Potter, who says he will buy everyone's shares.
Just tell them to bring their shares over here,
At 50 cents on the dollar.
and I will pay 50 cents on the dollar.
Boy, you never miss a trick, do you, Potter? Well, you're gonna miss this one.
If you close your doors before 6 p.m., you will never reopen.
So people will be able to get money, but half their money, and the building and loan goes out of business. Bop, 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 says George. He pleads with everybody and makes the case that they shouldn't bow to Potter because he's going to take over the town and everyone's going to live in his slums. And they're like, but I need the money. And then Mary has an idea. Use all of their honeymoon money. $2,000. I just checked. That's $33,000 today. Wow. But they really try to get people to only take what they need. Don't take everything out.
All right, Miss Davis.
Could I have $17.50?
That's your heart. Of course you can have it. You got 50 cents.
Whoa, George, you just got married. Throuple culture wasn't very acceptable back then. Anyway, another example of doing a good thing with a consequence. They don't get a honeymoon, they lose $33,000. But the town does set up a bridal suite for them at that old rundown house they made wishes on.
Welcome home, Mr. Bailey.
Apparently they're going to live there.
Remember the night we broke the windows in this old house? This is what I wished for.
That's great. They both got everything they wanted.
In that place, I wouldn't live in as a ghost.
Well, close enough. So then years go by, homes are built, and then they meet up with the soybean plastic guy again, who's super successful now.
I offered to let George in on the ground floor in plastics, and he turned me down cold.
Oh,
That's what that phone conversation was about. Oh well, George doesn't care. Well, he cares a little. And Mr. Pot knows it. Mr. Pot? Mr. Pot. Mr. Pot. No, Mr. Potter.
He is an intelligent, smart, ambitious young man who hates his job, who hates the building and loan almost as much as I do. A young man who's been dying to get out on his own ever since he was born.
And to stop that building and loan from continuing to cut into Mr. Potter's goals, he offers George a job at $20,000 a year. $330,000 today. He is willing to think about it, and he shakes Mr. Potter's hand. But apparently Mr. Potter pooped and didn't wash his hands or something because...
And the answer's no. Doggone it. You sit around here and you spin your little webs and you think the whole world revolves around you and your money. Well, it doesn't, Mr. Potter.
Then a bunch of montage-y stuff happens. Mary fixes up the old house, except for that knob on the stair rail. They have some babies. They have some World War II. George didn't go because of his ear, but brother Harry is a war hero.
He shot down 15 planes. 2 of them as they were about to crash into a transport full of soldiers.
Then disaster strikes. Uncle Harry was supposed to deposit $8,000 into the bank. He runs into Mr. Potter. They have a conversation. He accidentally hands him the $8,000 with his newspaper. Mr. Potter ain't gonna give that back. And so, the building and loan is in trouble again.
Where's that money, you silly, stupid old fool? You realize what this means?
Jeez, George, aren't you overreacting?
It means bankruptcy and scandal and prison.
Well, that's kind of an accurate reaction, but it extends to his parenting.
Must she keep playing that? What's the matter with our car? Isn't it good enough for you? Excuse you for what?
I burped.
Measly, crummy old town. Why do we have to have all these kids? Teachers like you, stupid, silly, careless. You know, maybe my kids aren't the best dressed kids, and maybe they don't have any decent clothes.
She's hung up.
I'll hang her up. Janie, haven't you learned that silly tune yet? You play it over and over again. Now stop it! Stop it!
Sorry, Mary. Janie, I'm sorry.
Oh, Daddy.
George, why must you torture the children? Why don't you...
Yikes. Well, George knows that the only person with enough money to help is Mr. Potter, so he goes to him, and Mr. Potter does help by swearing out a warrant for his arrest. That's great. It'll provide room and board. No, I joke. Jail is not good. So he goes to the only other place that will help. The bar. There it is. Rock bottom. Oh, wait. Not yet. That teacher he yelled at on the phone? Well, this is her husband. Okay, now rock bottom. There we go. Then he drunk drives into a tree. And this guy gives an odd request.
Come back here, drunken fool! Get this car out of here!
You want him to drive more? What? Okay, so then he goes to the bridge, looks over the edge, and he's considering ending his life. But who dat? That guy jumps in, and then George jumps in and saves him. Okay. So he was gonna jump, but instead of jumping, he jumps to save someone? I don't think the original jumping plan was going to do what he wanted it to do. Well, he was drunk. And this is the second time he saved someone from the water. What is he? A lifeguard? Okay, now guess what, guys? It's finally time for some angel stuff. There's an initial awkward conversation, and George doesn't believe him, but then he says a crucial thing here.
I suppose it'd been better if I'd never been born at all.
You got your wish.
You've never been bored.
All right, the deed is done. And now there's a series of scenes where George scullies everything. That's an X-Files reference, meaning he's doubtful that everything he's seeing is true despite all the evidence that it is true. The crashed car isn't there. The bartender doesn't know him. The pharmacist, Mr. Gower, is homeless.
That rumhead spent 20 years in jail for poisoning a kid. If you know him, you must be a jailbird yourself.
Oh, damn! See? You should have been born. Now the town is called Pottersville. There appears to be more nightclubs, which, honestly, I wouldn't mind. More nightclubs is kind of fun. Except that the Bailey building is now a dime a dance. I looked it up. That's $1.66 today. That's actually a really good deal. Violet gets arrested, George gets in his friend Ernie's cab, and Ernie doesn't know him, and the old house has never been fixed up. The cops want to commit him. He runs to his childhood home, and his mom doesn't know him. I mean, at this point, don't you think you'd expect that? But to be fair, he hasn't seen all of the Back to the Future movies like I have. It's a Wonderful Life ripped off Back to the Future. Speaking of, then we get a Doc Emmett Brown Back to the Future style walk into close-up, and oh, his brother Harry drowned because he was never saved by George. Harry never saved all those soldiers in World War II. And then he discovers, perhaps worst of all, Mary's a librarian. No, well, that's not really the issue. I think it's just that she doesn't know who George is. So he runs back to the bridge and he says he wants to live. It works. The cop shows up and knows who he is. It's Bedford Falls again. And then we see one of the most famous shots in cinema history. By the way, it was shot in July and it was really hot. That's some good filmmaking. He even wishes Potter a Merry Christmas, and he gets home and the broken knob doesn't bother him. In fact, he kisses it. He loves it. He hugs his kids, he hugs his wife. His situation hasn't changed.
Mr. Bailey, there's a deficit.
I know, $8,000.
George, I've got a little paper.
I'll bet it's a warrant for my arrest. Isn't it wonderful? I'm going to jail.
He's just happy with his life now. And then he goes to jail, and it's really sad, until he digs a giant tunnel and covers it with a poster and crawls through something feet of dirt. And then he drives to a beach somewhere and waits for his jail friend to show up, and it's a happy ending. No, he doesn't actually go to jail. Mary got everyone to help. Basically, she did an analog GoFundMe. It should have been obvious. Just ask for help. George is so much trying to help others that he forgets that there are people there who can help him. Big celebration. Everyone's happy. George's brother shows up.
To my big brother, George, the richest man in town.
And he gets a little message from Angel Clarence in the book that he gave him. And then, the big moment.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right. Attaboy, Clarence. But like, what's moving that tree? Like, that's an awful lot of shaking. Is there an earthquake going on? So that's it. I like how this is not giving easy lessons. This is someone who does good, but life is still hard. It's not saying that you should do good because you will have a good life. It's saying, I think mostly it's that message from Clarence in the book. Remember, no man is a failure who has friends. Sort of grappling with the ideas of dreams and goals versus living life right now and caring about the people in your immediate surroundings. It's probably the message and a reminder we need most every year. Yes, there's divine intervention in this movie, and yes, George is a particularly heroic person so that if he were never born, there's obvious things that would be worse. I don't think that's necessarily what it's about. I see that whole angel bit as symbolic of George grappling with his lowest point and having to move past the idea that his life didn't go the way he wanted it to. It could have been lots of things besides the angel intervention, but that intervention really is effective and a hooky part of the movie. But it could have been him meeting some of the soldiers his brother saved and realizing how much of a good life his brother had. There's a lot of ways you could do it. It'd be tricky to do it without it being cheesy, and it's a lot to do in a short amount of time. That's probably why the angel thing works so well. And the happy ending isn't really caused by angels. Clarence is just helping him get out of his funk, and he becomes happy even thinking he is going to jail.
I'll bet it's a warrant for my arrest. Isn't it wonderful? I'm going to jail.
The happy ending also isn't necessary. Would have been a real downer if it didn't end happy. But the point was to appreciate the life he did lead and the life he does have. And the happy ending is a result of the way he lived his life. The town helps him. The town has helped him throughout the movie. Mr. Gower gave him luggage. The whole town decided not to make a run on the building and loan. They also several times encouraged him to do things for himself. His brother says, yeah, I will take the job. I left it out before, but his dad tells him, yeah, maybe you should get out of this town.
You're right, son.
You see what I mean, don't you, Pop?
This town is no place for any man unless he's willing to crawl to Potter. Now, you've got talent, son. You get yourself an education and get out of here.
And then in the end, because of his good relationship with everyone, that's what ends up saving him. And he's not a perfect man. He's a jerk to Alfalfa.
Oh, why don't you stop annoying people?
Well, I'm sorry. Hey!
He's a jerk to his kids when he's at his lowest moment, which makes it more real. This movie's good. Guys, this movie's really good. So that's it. That's the point. Merry Christmas.
Attaboy, Clarence.
Now, if you're like me, you like stuff. And one thing I like is Morning Brew. No, not the coffee, but I like that too. I'm talking about Morning Brew, the newsletter. Thanks to Morning Brew for sponsoring this video. Listen, news today is a minefield. Everyone's yelling at each other with their hot takes and their rage bait and their clickbait. Everyone is just like a master at baiting these days. Misleading headlines, confusing stories. You walk away confused, bewildered, heart-stricken, and you shouldn't even be walking away. You're at your office. Get back to work. But Morning Brew solves all of these problems. It is a free, easily digestible, don't eat it though, newsletter you get every morning. It takes 5 minutes to read. Just get all the news that you need for your life as a professional or an unprofessional. It's just short, simple write-ups with a witty, conversational tone like this. Witty, conversational tone. You know what I mean, bro? There's games, puzzles, and pames, and guzzles. It's nice. It's just, I'm subscribed. I read it every morning. It's good. For instance, in one of the recent newsletters, I learned humans rank highly in monogamy. We're 7th out of 35 species. 2/3 of siblings share parents. Apparently, we're more faithful than a lot of other mammals. Way more than those promiscuous dolphins. But we got nothing on California deer mice. They are super faithful. I've been to so many deer mouse weddings. They're all still together. Warms my heart. Well, actually, I'm already warm-blooded. But Morning Brew is the go-to newsletter for over 4 million professionals. I bet some of them are unprofessional, to be honest with you. It's 100% free, and it takes 15 seconds to sign up. Click the link below or scan the QR code on screen to sign up. And pay nothing. It's free. You just get the newsletter every day. It's nice. Okay, now back to this camera. I feel like I already ended the video, but we'll do this again. Merry Christmas. That's some good filmmaking.